Previously on a very special
The TheDuelLogs Duel Log.
You guys are here to react to me while I put a video on YouTube. We're basically live recording a video. Let's get started. Okay, so that's it on our lecture on how to make donations. Next we'll go over how to make good thumbnails. Didn't you teach us how to do thumbnails before in your advertise yourself videos? So I did briefly talk about how to make thumbnails in my advertise yourself with clips video.
However,
I kind of overlooked a really important thing with that. You see, I'm on New Game Plus when it comes to content creation, and I was explaining things as if everybody else was on New Game Plus too. I forgot that people are beginners to this and don't know everything. Like, I can think of a thumbnail that will get clicks from thin air without references, but I realized that the average person cannot, because that's really hard. This is made for new people. It is completely different information than what I went over in that other video, because honestly the information is not good, because only I can take advantage of it. I am just so stuck in my head with all these things that I think everything's so obvious that I forget a lot of the things are not obvious. So like my information just on thumbnails in that video just doesn't apply because it was way too advanced, even though it doesn't seem like it was. This is actually for real beginners. Guys, we're gonna be on YouTube, so you guys better behave. All right, chat? Hello there, my stream. This is how to make good thumbnails to actually get people to click on your videos. Where's my mouse? So, what is a good thumbnail? Isn't good thumbnail subjective? Well, a good thumbnail is one that gets people to actually click on your video.
shocking.
A good thumbnail does not have to look professional. Some people confuse good art for good thumbnails. Thumbnails are more about marketing than aesthetic. So I see a lot of people who are actually very good at graphic design, and they make thumbnails that are awful, but they look technically good. The problem is that they just don't stand out. When it comes to videos, here are the 5 most important metrics for, how a video performs. The video idea is number 1 for your target audience. For example, I could have the best World of Warcraft idea ever, but it's not gonna perform well on my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. Your thumbnail is number 2, the title is your 3rd, the layout of the video itself is number 4, and then good editing is number 5. Fancy editing is not as important as you think. So your thumbnail is the 2nd most important part of your video, so you need to have a good one. How do you make good thumbnails? This is the $1 million question. If we knew the answer to this, then everybody would be rich. But the thing is, I do know the answer to this question. You steal it. You steal ideas. I call it the chimera method. You take bits and pieces of thumbnails that catch your attention and try to recreate them. So what I do is if I see a thumbnail I like, I screenshot it, I steal it, and I keep it in my collection of thumbnails. So here is a thumbnail I liked that caught my attention, and I recreated it in my own style. So what we have here is a shocked face taking up half the screen. So I have my little character with shocked face taking up half the screen. Then we have text, red purple text with a white outline and black shadow with very simple words, so it stands out. Theirs is just saying wife ... I have 1 second left ... Then we have a big old object in the top left hand corner that they're looking at. I have a big old object in the top left hand corner I'm looking at. I'm looking at the timer. Then we have a second object of interest in the background that's being hidden. I have a second object of interest in the background that's being hidden right behind the timer. These are obviously 2 very different thumbnails, but the idea is taken from one almost like, it's being referenced. It's not being traced, it's not being copied directly, but we are taking a lot of the layout of this one and applying it directly over here. Just remember, if you think something is original, that just means you don't know what the inspiration comes from. There's a huge trap I think a lot of new content creators fall into where they think they need to be original. In fact, I know of a lot of content creators who don't watch anyone else within their profession, within their niche, because they don't want to accidentally copy their ideas, which is
Really stupid.
because the thing is, nothing's original. Everything comes from something else. There are no original ideas. In fact, if you think something is original, that just means you don't know what the inspiration is. So making thumbnails from scratch for a newbie is really hard and leads to very generic designs that do not grab your attention. Look at my original thumbnail, guys. This is one I've had from the other video. These kind of things, this thumbnail is not half bad, honestly. But making thumbnails from scratch is very hard if you're a new person.
So don't.
This is just like a disclaimer on mine. See, I have a lot of very samey thumbnails, but these are branded thumbnails. These are different than like what I'm trying to teach here. So these thumbnails are technically all the same. but it's done on purpose. The reason this is done on purpose is because I know my videos get recommended a lot, and if my videos are being recommended a lot, then they blend in with each other. So if someone has watched one of my videos and they liked it, they'll see a whole bunch of other videos in this series and they'll be more likely to click on them. That's why I make sure all of my thumbnails and some of my channels are exactly the same. I never change the design of them unless they perform poorly. So for example, the top 10s all have a character on the left and 2 cards on the right, top 10 in the top left-hand corner, and then the words, along the bottom. And they all use the exact same color and the exact same font. So I do this on purpose. Even though I don't think the thumbnails are that good, they perform well enough. And that's better than performing poorly. If they perform poorly, I would change them, because I did change them. Because if you look at my earlier top 10s, they all have different thumbnail styles until I've, came across this one that worked better. And then for the failed card series, this was the very first thumbnail I used and it worked immediately well. Even though this thumbnail right here is technically incredibly simple and basic, it just works really well. So I keep using it. Sometimes simple is good. Despite how dumb and super simple this thumbnail is, it performs surprisingly well. This thumbnail over here is just bad. There's too many objects on screen, there's no outlines on anything, and there's no text. This is an actual thumbnail that I used for a video, but I used it because it was just a screenshot from the video and I was too lazy to make a thumbnail. So it's not a very good example. I tried to look through all my thumbnails, like what are some examples of really bad thumbnails, but I couldn't find any. I'd have to go back to years and years ago from when I first started. And even then the thumbnails aren't that bad. So I just found one of these where I was just too lazy to make a thumbnail and used it. Because I didn't want to use someone else's thumbnail as an example of a bad thumbnail, Also, another example for thumbnails is good market research to see if your thumbnails are good is if they stand out from the competition. So you don't want to make thumbnails that blend in with all the other ones. You want to make one that's a little bit different because that helps you stand out a lot too. So collect thumbnails you like, but from niches different from your own. So here are a whole bunch of thumbnails that I've collected that I thought were very eye-attaching, very eye-grabbing. And the best way to collect thumbnails is from niches that are not part of the one you want to create videos for. And then you can make your thumbnails based on them. See, I already explained this one. This one was based on this one, the most hated of all time. Look, it's a Pokemon thumbnail. Look, we have Maxi. This one is a Magic the Gathering one with a, illegal and an arrow pointing at this thing. And then I have 1 card combo with an arrow pointing at it. This thumbnail actually performed very well. This video came out a few days ago. And then look at all these other ones. The Gengar one, it's a yellow outline on the Gengar with black text and a yellow outline and a purple background. The B-Trooper, we have yellow outline, black text, yellow backline, the text taking up thirds of the screen. We have this one over here, the same theme to the layout, but it's not exactly the same. This one is an incredibly simple one that caught my attention, so an incredibly simple one with white text. And then this one over here, I can't recover from this, with a little red arrow and them looking at something. It's so easy. Just remember, good artist copy, great artist steal, from Pablo Picasso. No, he didn't actually steal, he just liked to imitate his famous artists a lot. So if you look at this over here, this is an artist's painting and this is one of Picasso's paintings where he just basically used the style because he liked it a lot. Picasso loved to use other artists' styles, and he's a very famous artist for that. So that's it. I hope you guys now know how to make good thumbnails. We'll field questions if you guys want. Do we have any questions and concerns for how to make great thumbnails that will catch attention? Bro is stealing all the thumbnails in history. The thing is, I don't have to do this anymore because I can just do it from memory. But I forgot that this is what I used to do back in the day. That's what I said. That's why I think my original video sucks, is because I'm already on New Game Plus. I've stolen so many thumbnail ideas in the past that I can just choose one from memory and just choose bits and pieces of thumbnails that I like and put them together. Do you stick with brand colors that sounded the most? I do for my branded thumbnails. I use the same exact font and the exact color for everything. But if it's for the clip channel, I will definitely use different colors and different fonts for stuff. Just because these are just a different type of thing where I'm just experimenting with thumbnails on this channel, to be honest. What's the most common but not horrible mistake that people make? Honestly, one of the big mistakes they make is they try to make their thumbnails look too pretty instead of clickbaity. They would look at these thumbnails right here and scoff at them and be like, ugh, I'm not doing that. And instead they'll spend a whole bunch of time and effort to make their thumbnails just look very pretty, even though what they're trying to do is attract attention, which this is what these do. You're not trying to make a pretty thumbnail, you're trying to attract attention because this is an advertising tool. So if you treat it as a pretty picture that you just want to have fun making, you're doing it wrong. I think that's the biggest mistake people make, is they don't understand how important marketing is. So what are your opinions on Moist Critical's thumbnails on his YouTube channel? They're all screenshots and videos. Sometimes they're outright just him sitting in his chair looking at the camera. Oh my god, that's a good question. So, another big mistake I see streamers make, YouTubers make, is they'll look at thumbnails from a very big channel and copy styles from there. Like, a lot of people have no problems copying thumbnail styles. So they'll go to a big channel, they'll look at their thumbnails, and they'll see like Moist Critical and be like, oh, he doesn't even make thumbnails. He just like takes an image from the video. That means I can do that too. No, you can't. You don't have the clout to get away with that. He does. That's the difference. Like, he's already on New Game Plus. You're not him. You're fighting for all the attention you can possibly get. Technically, I don't need thumbnails for my videos either. I can just use whatever, and they would probably still perform well. But they perform better with good thumbnails. I can assure you, he would probably perform better too if he try to create more clickbaity thumbnails, but he doesn't need to, because he's already on New Game Plus. He already has an established audience and clout. And his titles are already clickbait enough. Like, remember, titles was like, what, the fourth most important thing? Third most important thing. Yeah, he has good titles, even if his thumbnails aren't very good. Do you find certain color palettes perform better than others? I do. Red, white, and yellow generally are the best colors for text. You always want like a black or white background on them too. Outline. You never, well actually, that's just basic editing, but the actual color of the text itself, usually black, white, and red perform the best. No, did I say black? No, not black. Yellow, white, and red. If you look at all my thumbnails, they basically all have yellow, red, and white in them. Would your advice change for different types of streamers? Yeah, honestly, like, there are some things you can do different depending on the type of streamer you are. This is very generic advice. If I was gonna give specific advice, that's a little bit different. Like, for example, my channel doesn't really benefit from having big titties in the thumbnail. But if I was a GFE streamer, my thumbnails would benefit from that, because that's part of their brand, you know? Going to check the top 10 waifus list again. Do I have big breasts in the waifu tier list? I don't think so. Okay, therein concludes my lectures on how to monetize your streams properly and how to make good thumbnails. I hope you guys learned a lot today on how to be good YouTubers and or streamers. Next time, we will be going over a lecture on branding, goals, social media, on the importance of streaming every day, lectures on how to make thumbnails. I did that one already. Lecture on how to do collaborations, how to make good titles, lecture on how to be a good chat. Shut up.